Hey guys, welcome back to The Path to Medicine. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who's been watching my videos and commenting and subscribing. I think we just recently hit 150 subscribers, so that's incredible. Thank you so much. I'm really glad to see that some people are benefiting from my videos, and I want to continue doing more and growing this page and helping people as much as I can. So thank you so much to everyone who has given their support and continues to support me. So for this video, I wanted to go back to giving advice on things before medical school, because I know a lot of my videos are focusing on the USMLE and studying for that, and I'll continue to do that, but I also want to make more videos for people applying to medical school and different aspects of that entire process. So for this video, I want to talk about the top 5 tips for applying to medical school. Um, and it's a really long and stressful process for a lot of people applying and then getting into medical school. So this won't encompass everything. Obviously, there's way more than 5 tips that I could tell people about applying to medical school. But these are some of the things that I think are most important and that people who maybe are a little bit unfamiliar or unsure what the process need to know. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing is going to be to apply early. This is probably something that everyone's heard their entire life. The early bird gets the worm. And while that might not always be true when it comes to applying to medical school, it's also something you definitely don't want to risk. So for medical school, for the AMCAS, for example, I believe the application is released on May 1st. People usually start applying in the summer of their junior year of college. So the application is released and able to be filled out on May 1st, and then it's usually due on June 1st. So you have a whole month to fill out the application to, really put as much as you can and load it up and to look it over a couple times and make sure everything's filled out properly. And then you can submit it. And once you have the opportunity, you should be ready to submit it on June 1st or whatever the due date may be, right there at that time as soon as you can to get it in early. Because the earlier you get it in, the earlier medical schools will see it and will be able to send you back secondary applications. And once you do get those secondary applications, it's the same thing. You want to send those back as soon as possible, as quickly as you can, so that they'll be able to see your application early on. And when they have a lot of interview spots available, they'll have your application ready and good to go, and there won't be any delay. So definitely applying early is one of the most important things. And I feel like a lot of people know this, but it still goes worth saying that the earlier you apply, the more spots are available and the better chances you have. So the next tip is going to be to create and update a CV regularly. And I feel like a lot of people know this as well, but it's also still very important. So uh, just really quickly, a CV or a resume, whatever you want to call it, is basically a document that lists all of your different activities and honors, your education, the clubs you're involved in, publications, research, volunteer work, everything. It's really all encompassing of the things that you've done in college, maybe a couple things here and there from high school if they're really pertinent, but mostly from college and after graduating if you're non traditional. So you want to create a CV and you want to be constantly updating it. And the reason for that is once the application swings around, you will have everything in a single, orderly, cleaned up document, and you can kind of just copy and paste or at least use that as a template for filling out medical school applications. It'll be really helpful as opposed to having to think back to when you did a certain event or how many hours you got for this or that. You'll already have it right there, and it really makes the application process a whole lot smoother. Additionally, some schools ask for a CV directly, um, in addition to the application and all the things included there. So again, it's just really easy. You already have the CV, it's already been updated. You literally just have to attach it and send it to them, no problem. So keeping a CV throughout college and beyond college is also very important. And even in medical school, obviously, you want to be having a CV and updating it constantly. So the next tip is one that I think maybe a lot of people don't know or don't think about, and that's write your personal statement over several months. Um, I feel like some people when they think about a personal statement, they try and get it all down, all out of their head in one sitting, and they think that's good enough. And for me, My opinion is to really bring it to the next level and to shape it and mold it and make it even better than the original, you need to take some time. One piece of advice that I got when I was applying to medical school is to write your personal statement. Write down everything that you want to say, all of the thoughts that you're having, type it up, whatever, and then put it away for several weeks or even several months. Just leave it alone, don't look at it, and come back to it after a little while with a fresh pair of eyes. And then read it over and look it over and kind of start to think about how things are flowing with it. I mean, over the course of several months, you'll learn different things, you'll grow a little bit, you'll see things differently. So maybe something that you said originally in your personal statement, maybe it doesn't apply anymore, maybe it doesn't make sense as much anymore. So you'll have time to alter it. So for me personally, I believe I started writing my personal statement in about December, and I had several months to look it over, change some things, get advice from a lot of different people, and then have it done, as opposed to trying to cram it in the last week or two right before the application was due. And that definitely helped me polish it and alleviate some of the stress associated with it. So the next tip that I think is really important is that you as an applicant need to put yourself in the application committee's shoes. And what I mean by that is you need to kind of try to get in their head and understand how they're going to be thinking and how they're going to be feeling when they're reading this application. And that will kind of help you steer more towards what they're looking for. One good example that I give for that is, a lot of medical schools nowadays are getting up to 10,000 applications. And a lot of the students are pre-med, biology majors, they've done research, they've done shadowing, that kind of thing. That's kind of like the cookie cutter definition of a pre-med student. Not everybody's like that, of course, but a lot of students are. So when you're applying, you really want to think about what a committee member is seeing. They're going to be seeing hundreds, if not thousands of applications with biology majors who have research, who have shadowing, who have volunteering, so that stuff's really not going to impress them. So you really want to talk about things that are different that'll make you stand out. And this kind of goes back to the personal statement as well. You want to be putting things in your personal statement that are actually personal. The personal statement, some people think it's a place to list your accomplishments. It's kind of like a resume. And I don't think that at all, because they're getting all of that in the actual application. The personal statement is really one of the only areas you have to kind of show how you write, show what you are as a person, the things you believe in, why you want to be involved in medicine, and all of those different things. And I can guarantee that someone who writes about all of that stuff, as opposed to just talking about all the classes that they took and the research that they did and got published, someone who writes something a little different, that'll definitely, leave an impression in the committee member's head. So you definitely want to be unique and not boring, because the fact of the matter is that when these committee members are reading through thousands of applications, it's going to get boring. You really want to give them something to hold on to that's going to impress them, that's going to wow them, that'll make them think when you come for an interview, oh, I remember reading this person's personal statement. They had this really interesting fact, or they had this really interesting hobby, or anything like that. Anything that helps you stand out from the pack, because unfortunately a lot of medical students do have a similar kind of background and CV. Anything that helps you stand out is definitely a big benefit. So definitely include those things in the personal statement and think about how that's going to reflect to a committee member. And the last piece of advice for this video is going to be, don't be afraid to show your passions. And this goes along with the personal statement and with thinking about how the committee member for the application is going to be thinking. A lot of people try and focus so much on the science. I did all of this shadowing. I did all of this research. I got published in this. I did volunteering at this science activity. And all of that's great. Don't get me wrong. A lot of those things are necessary to get into medical school. But that doesn't mean that you should shy away from other aspects of your life, perhaps more interesting, maybe even more important aspects of your life. And again, going back to the personal statement, that's really one of the only areas that you have to show those things. There are also activity spaces that need to be filled in the application, and some of those things can go in there as well. Definitely. Because really the important thing is when you go for an interview, and even when you're filling out the application, these committee members want to see someone with passion. They want to see someone with drive. They want to see someone who really cares about the things that they're talking about. So if you compare someone who's done a ton of research and kind of talks about it blandly and doesn't really have a love for it, compared to someone who, I don't know, for example, does baking. They do a baking volunteering activity and they do that a lot and they really love it. When you see the person talking about the research, you can tell that it's kind of forced. But when you see the person talking about the baking, who really loves it and enjoys it and does that for reasons beyond just getting into medical school, that really comes across in the interview. And I think this is probably one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of applicants make is not addressing their passions, is not talking about how much they love to do things outside of science and outside of medicine. One example for me is I used to dance a lot, and that was something that I really loved to do. And I was on a couple of teams in college, so I put that in my application as an experience because it was something that was really important to me. And multiple times on interviews, I got asked about dancing. I barely got asked about medicine or why I want to be a doctor or anything like that. They asked me about dancing. And I have friends at my medical school, at different schools, who have had the same experience. Committee members are going to get the type of idea of the student that you are from the CV and from, all your GPA and your MCAT and all of that. But they want to get an idea of the person that you are as well. So if you share your passions, if you share your hobbies, and if you talk highly about the things that are important to you, that'll really get across to the committee, and some of those things will also stick out in their mind as well. So that's going to be the end of this video. It's kind of a shorter one, but I really hope that these tips help people applying to medical school. If anybody has any questions, is looking for any advice or anything like that, feel free to leave a comment or send me a message. Also, if you have any suggestions on how to make these videos better, please let me know. I'm still kind of new to how I want to do all these different videos, so any advice on how I can improve things is more than welcome. Because, again, I want to make things in a way that is beneficial to the largest amount of people. So if you have suggestions on how to improve my videos, suggestions for new videos, please let me know. Thank you again for watching. Please subscribe, and I will see you guys soon.